Hey everybody, welcome to the Spanish Code Podcast. I am Christian Robinson, the owner of Spanish Fit, and with me as always, the professor extraordinaire, Nelfer Velija. Today, we're gonna look at something super important, very helpful, and something that you probably are doing wrong occasionally, at least occasionally, if you are a beginner. We're going to talk about effective verbs. To be more specific, we're going to talk about the verb gustar. And it is the biggest lie in Spanish education because we learn how to conjugate verbs. Hablo, hablas, habla, hablamos, hablan. And then we learn the verb gustar in about our second level of Spanish. And if you look at gustar on the board, gustar is taught in almost every institution around the world to mean to like. So I like cats. Okay, yo gusto gatos. All right, that's how our brain is going to think about it in English. From the perspective of the Spanish professor who had to do this probably a lot of years before correcting this, Nelfer, what are your thoughts just in general about why it's so difficult for students to grasp the concept of effective verbs?
Yeah, the thing is, like, this is the biggest lie. Like you can see in the picture we put for this video, because every time we're learning a new language, we need to understand that we're not learning like literally some expressions. So yeah, me gusta, when I say me gusta, and probably you have heard that a lot, the first idea that comes to your brain is it means I like. But literally, we need to understand how it works in Spanish in order to get it like right. Otherwise, we're gonna be, like he said, conjugating all the time the wrong way. Right. So what we say, what we do when we're expressing like how something affects me, like affective verbs, that's why they are called like this, we use the verb conjugated depending on the thing that we're like liking, or we're getting bored from that, or by that, or it's bothering us. So yes, this is another grammar. This is another way to see the grammar. And if we want to say this like in the correct way, we need to understand this. Gustar is not to like.
It's a verb that we use, but not from the person's perspective. It's the effect that something has on me. So a good example in English where it does exist would be the verb bother. I don't say I bother by cats. I say cats bother me. So it's their effect on me. And that's how we speak in English. So that one actually translates really easily into Spanish. Now, unfortunately, we're taught that gustar means to like. So it throws our brain in reverse, and we can't conjugate this verb with efficiency until we start to look at it a different way. So here at Blink, thanks to Nell, we don't teach gustar as to like. We teach gustar to mean, literally, to please. Why? Because when I say I like you with gustar in Spanish, I'm not saying I like you. I'm saying you please me. Or reading pleases me. Me gusta leer. Me gusta enseñar. It's one of our first opportunities to really start thinking in Spanish. Okay, so it's a common question in class. How do I say I like somebody, like romantically, right? And there's obviously, you've probably heard te amo, you I love, or te quiero, you I want. Those both mean I love you. But to tell someone you like them is an effective structure almost always, and it's an escalating structure with 3 different verbs. So if I'm on my first date with a girl and I say, Maria, me gustas, I'm saying, Maria, you please me, but it's romantic. It's partially sexual. Like I can't say to Nelfer in Latin culture, hey, Nelfer, me gustas. Nah, it doesn't work. We actually have to use a different verb, or else it comes off as being homosexual. And yeah, that doesn't go over too well in a lot of cultures. So I would actually have to say, Nelfer, me caes bien, you fall me well. Which is really weird too. But when we get to liking, it goes in a level. Me gustas, I like you a lot. Me encantas, You enchant me. That's how we say I really, really like you. And then basically saying I love you is me fascinas. You fascinate me. But like, you fascinate me. So it is a expression of desire and that I like somebody. So before we continue, please remember to like, subscribe, and leave us your comments below. And we will possibly even make videos for you to address some of your questions.
Okay, guys, if we want to understand this, like, we need to see the way they show it sometimes, because if you're studying currently in a school, they're gonna tell you that gustar, you need to put a pronoun in front, then you conjugate gustar, like me gusta, and then you put things or verbs, like me gusta estudiar, me gusta la música, me gusta viajar, as you can see here. And then if it's like plural, it's not gusta, it's gustan, because they please me. It's better if you think about this after you learn these pronouns, me gusta, te gusta, le gusta, nos gusta, and les gusta. It's better if you think again about this with something pleases me. If you narrow down this to the structure that something is affecting someone, you're gonna be able to conjugate properly the verb gustar. If it's music, music is the subject in this sentence. This is the grammar behind. And if you learn it like this, something, and then you conjugate the verb to please, in this case pleases, because it's the third person singular, and then you see who's the person who is like liking this music, then you're gonna be able to put the pronoun, because it's the same one. Music pleases me, and the pronoun for me in Spanish is me. So you're gonna be able to organize your brain in Spanish to put the me in front of the whole thing. Me gusta la música. Or you can put the music in front. La música, me gusta. Both are correct, right?
Right. So just take a second, and you'll probably want to write this down, but yo gusto, tú gustas, él gusta, nosotros gustamos, ellos gustan, that doesn't exist in this structure. Because again, we're not saying I like, you like, we like, he likes. We're saying it likes me, it pleases me. So that's why we're not using yo, we're using me, because that's it pleases me. Me gusta la música. Me gusta la música. No me gusta tu perro. I don't like your dog. No me gusta. It doesn't please me, your dog. No me gusta la comida. The food does not please me. Right?
Yeah, and take a second to think about this. Well, I want to say I like you. This is the expression I want to convey in Spanish. And then you need to think, okay, how do I say it with the verb to please? You please me. So take a second now. You can stop the video if you want to think, how would you say you please me? Given the logic we've been providing here, you need to think about, okay, I need first the pronoun in Spanish, me, and then I'm conjugating pleasing with the person you, which is the subject of this sentence. So you please, which one is the correct conjugation of gustar in this case? So his,
right. Yeah. So I think one thing to really focus on is we're always going to conjugate for that other thing. So if it was other things, we're going to have to conjugate for other things. So in this case, if I'm conjugating the verb for what pleases me, if I say me gusto, it doesn't make any sense, but it would technically mean I please myself. If I say me gustas, I'm saying you please me. I like you a lot.
This is the way that we will structure this in Spanish. Like, this is the Spanish brain, the way we say it, but I'm writing it in English so you can see how we create this information. Me, you please. Please is gustar. So me, and then you conjugate gustar. Me gustas. Me gustas. Does that make sense, guys? Because every time you're saying I like something, you need to come back to this. And at some point, it will get natural. But at the beginning, you need to make this process of thinking and forget about like means gustar. No. And then you're gonna have in the PDF some exercises and some examples of this, so you can do it quickly, and then you can understand I please, or something pleases me, or I like something, or they like me, and then you're gonna start playing with that and finding the way to say it in Spanish.
Right. So basically, we can use any verb in Spanish that it makes sense with in an effective structure, and we're going to use a lot more effective verbs in Spanish. So in English, we're kind of limited to you bother me, you worry me, and maybe a couple other ways that we might use effective structure in English. But in Spanish, we can use a lot of verbs. Even if we usually wouldn't use them in an effective way, we are capable of using a lot of words with an effective structure. But when it comes to emotions, besides amar and querer, almost every verb that provides an emotion, we're always going to give the guilt in Spanish to the object that causes that emotion. And that's actually a really important note. Just to go back 2 seconds, my first girlfriend in Colombia, Diana, I had learned up to about a B1 level. I had learned too quickly. And one night we were doing what couples do. And she kept saying, Christian, me gustas. And by the structure in my mind, what I was hearing is Christian, me, you like. So I'm thinking she's asking me, Christian, do you like me? And at some point, I just stopped with that thing that couples do. And I said, why are you asking me if I like you when I'm inside of you? Because it was just so awkward. Yeah. But it took that experience in my life to really peg this idea of effective verb use in Spanish. So here's a couple more examples. You bother me. Now in English, you might say, I am bothered by you sometimes, but usually you would say, you bother me. So this is exactly the same as English. Me, I'm the person affected, and you are doing the bothering. So me molestas. All right. Now, preocupar, to worry. Okay. Me preocupas. You bore me. This one's common, right?
Yeah.
Like with mom.
Yeah, you can say it a lot, like for a teacher, for example. To someone who's boring, you're gonna say me aburres.
And the verb here for bore is aburrir.
Yeah.
Enojar. That is a huge one. I can say estoy enojado, saying I am with an adjective. I can say I'm mad and then give a reason. I can say enojo por algo. But usually I'm going to say me enoja el ruido de la calle. So the sound from the street angers me, right? Mi padre me enoja. If I'm talking to Nelver, me enojas.
Yeah. And something that you can do to practice this, like at the end of the video, is change the word in English you and start doing it like it bothers me, it worries me, it bores me, and then try to figure out how would you say that in Spanish. It's a good exercise that you can that you can start doing by yourself in order to prove that you get what we just said about being affected by something, right?
Right. And this is going to go through everyday life, sexual life, just everything I feel. This last example is kind of funny, but it's kind of important. Every week people come to Blink and we say, how do you say I'm hot? And they say, estoy caliente. And we always get a really good laugh out of that because you can say tengo calor, I have heat, which means physically like I'm hot. But if I say estoy caliente in Spanish, I'm saying I am horny, dude. So the verb is calentar. Now I can calentar my dinner. Voy a calentar la cena. I'm going to heat it up. But if I say me calientas, you heat me. You get me horny. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
No, but it's also important
that
when it is the right time to use that verb, you'll know how to use it.
here.
So when we look at the pronouns, obviously, this is always the person who is affected by this, right? So this is the most common by far. It is 70-80% of the use of an affected verb is going to be the el ella form, because that is it. It is the activity, it is the person, it is the thing that causes that emotional effect on me. Now, there's one other option. A lot of times we talk about plural things, all right? So that's not going to include verbs, but I love horses, all right? So the horses are plural, all right? So if we have gustar, and it's they please, yo gusto, tú gustas, él gusta, nosotros gustamos, ellos gustan, all right? So it's still me, so me gustan los caballos, me molestan los gatos, cats bother me. Me encantan los animales. Animals enchant me. That's how my Spanish brain thinks. These principles are really important because what are you going to learn next? Maybe the past tense, right? So me gusta is present tense. If I liked the movie, me gustó la película. Me molestó tu padre. Me encantó la mamá de Nelfer. He's going to hit me. So these properties of the affective verb, what we're saying is that they're going to carry through the entirety of the grammar, the present tense, the future tense, the past tense, every possible tense that we're going to learn in Spanish. So time now to practice this. Make a list of 20 things you like, singular. Make another list of 20 things you like that are plural. Those will all be things, because when it comes to verbs, I say me gusta leer, comma, me gusta leer, hacer ejercicio, cenar con la familia, ir a la iglesia. I can just put a comma, 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 comma. It doesn't mean that that's a plural thing. They're all singular activities. So me gusta, me gusta, me gusta with any verb. When it comes to things, if it's singular, me gusta. If it's plural, me gustan. So it's not a horribly difficult concept, but it takes your brain a minute to get used to it.
Yeah, I think we get it, right? I think we can use it now. We can think about it now. And at some point you will get it. Like naturally at the beginning, you're going to have to take a second to think and restructure, but it's going to be more like fluent with the time, right?
Right.
All right, guys, podcast pause just for a few seconds. Why? Because you guys all want to learn Spanish, and we're a Spanish school. Spanish Fit allows you guys to study online in group classes at every level and in every time zone for about $8 a week. Scan the QR code or visit www.spanishfit.com today. Back to the podcast.
We will get back into affective verbs in a different podcast, maybe look at the past tenses, the future tenses, and the different structures as we go through the different grammar levels. But for now, I think you guys have a pretty good handle on it. We will be back soon with a new video. Please remember to like and subscribe our videos, guys. It means a lot to us. And leave us comments down below, and maybe we'll make a video based on one of your questions or comments. We appreciate it. Hasta pronto. Nos veremos muy pronto para el próximo video.
Nos vemos, chicos.
Chao, chao.